Today, I'll be reading Chapter 8 of If You Can't Manage Them, You Can't Teach Them. Chapter 8 Direct, Clear Talk. The teacher had 10 years of teaching experience and had earned tenure. As a part of my master teacher responsibilities, I was asked to observe him and assess his proficiency in the classroom. Possible bonus was in store if this teacher was deemed proficient. Only a few minutes into the 30-minute observation, it was clear this teacher needed some help with classroom management. Now, here's what was fascinating. His lesson was engaging. He was organized and ready to go, he knew his content, and he clearly had plenty of experience. But from the moment he started the lesson, his main form of gaining students' attention was to say, shh. As a matter of fact, by the time the 30-minute observation was over, he had used shh 35 times. As I sat there in a class full of middle school students, I kept wondering how long it would be before someone shouted out it after one of the teacher's long shh reminders. Haha, shit. For those of you who haven't figured out where I'm going with this story, well, since he tried it 35 times and it didn't work, this technique was clearly not effective. But more than that, shh should never be a part of your vocabulary when working with middle school or high school students. Wow, what an experience! That's what I have to say about the honor it has been to visit the classrooms of tenured teachers and at the same time to mentor new teachers in our district. I've had the privilege of seeing teachers with 25 years of experience in action and those who are just beginning their fabulous careers in education. This has allowed me to watch, ask questions, discuss, brainstorm, and dialogue with a wide range of professionals about the real stuff of running a classroom. Every teacher can do this. From these experiences and those in my own classroom, I'm certain that one simple management technique is an absolute must in every classroom. Any teacher can and should add this to the management toolbox. Be direct. Here's what this means. 1. Be very precise about what you expect of students. Do not expect that they will automatically remember and follow the details of all rules and procedures. Spell it out. Say exactly what they are to do. Do this over and over. 2. Do not use subtleties or inferences about what you need them to do. Do not use generalities. The more direct you are, using specifics, the more clearly students understand what is expected. 3. Be concise. Don't give long explanations. Start a discussion, get into negotiations, or leave openings for arguments. Straight talk is about making a statement. When you are directing students about behavior, this is not the time to explain the thinking behind the rule, unless it is early in the year. You've explained the reasons for the rules and procedures long ago. This is a time for one thing to say, plainly, what must happen now. 4. Along with the straight talk, give choices. Name the student, state clearly the behavior they are doing, give a choice to stop, or give a choice of the consequences. Middle school students, in particular, love choices. They'll respond to this. Some teachers shy away from being direct. They tell me, that's not who I am as a person. Understand that direct does not imply that you are mean or confrontational. This technique has nothing to do with personality. I have seen quiet, laid back middle or high school teachers be extremely direct without ever raising their voices. In fact, soft spoken teachers often use this with exceptional effectiveness. Being direct simply means you are telling the student exactly what you need them to do. This method of redirection is referred to as using I need statements or other statements that describe exact behaviors. To be or not to be direct. It is easy to miss opportunities to be direct. Many of us are so used to vague reminders or instructions, or we easily slide into discussions, negotiations, or long explanations, when all it takes is a simple statement of what needs to happen now. Direct talk? No. Go back and review the teacher reflection on page 182. Read the examples and your ideas for straight talk. Here are some further examples of non-specific questions and requests from the teacher. Combine this list with that on the straight talk exercise to get a good look at what non-direct talk looks like. Your homework attitude needs an adjustment. Now, class, remember to follow the rules. You are being disrespectful. Andrew, you know what you should be doing. Do it. Get with the program, Sean. Have you taken something from Anaya? Be ready to listen. 3 shushes. Class, class, class. Luke, what is it you think you are doing? Ramon, your class participation is not acceptable. This is not the way we behave during class discussions. Whoever's talking needs to stop now. I'm waiting. Direct talk, yes. Here are some alternatives. Direct ones. Lucas, you are waving your arms and shouting. I need you to control your body, stop speaking, and take your seat. Carla, you have not turned in your homework for 6 days. I need all tomorrow morning before class begins. Julie, your notes from friends, your cell phone, your iPod, and your makeup kit are interfering with your work. I need you to start putting all of these in your backpack immediately. Judah, being a responsible student means completing all your assignments. You could stop talking and finish this project now. Or may you join me here after school until it is done? Which do you choose? Thomas, Lucy, Brett, Gabby, and Tad. Talking out of turn is not okay in this class. Notice rule number 3 on the wall. I expect all of you to stop this behavior, starting now. Sadie, you pushed over Emma's backpack and scattered her belongings all over. You were disrespecting her and her stuff. I need you to go back over there, apologize to Emma, and carefully return her things to her backpack. I expect to see no facial expression or gestures of disrespect as you do this. Jessica, the rule is that pencils are sharpened at the beginning of class, and in a quiet manner that does not disrupt. The time is wrong, and you are loud and disruptive. Return to your seat now. Les and Miguel, potty jokes are not befitting of 8th graders or appropriate for school. Stop them now. Darla, that gesture was rude and disrespectful. It does not belong in school ever. This is what will happen now. You will take your things and wait for me in the hall. She flipped the bird, huh? To everyone in the back row, give names. It is time for your books to be open, your pencils to be in your hands, and your eyes to be on me. This is what it means to be prepared. Sean, I need you to stand up, walk forward, and hand me the cell phone. Leanne, Anaya's cell phone is in your back pocket. It belongs in Anaya's hand. I expect to see it in Anaya's hand within 1 second. Will, it is time for you to get off the table and stand quietly by my desk with your arms and legs perfectly still. Simone, I see that you have no pencil, paper, homework, or book out. This shows me that you are not prepared. Can you get prepared by the time I walk over to your desk, or do we need a discussion at lunchtime? Class, it is time to listen. This means your desk is clear, you are facing me, your hands are folded on top of your desk, and your mouth is closed. I expect to hear no voices other than mine for the next 3 minutes. Luke, your hand is in Todd's desk. Put both of your hands on top of your desk. Ramon, the appropriate way to participate is to wait your turn. Can you stop blurting out, or would you like to stay in during break for some rehearsal or appropriate behavior? Andrew, now is the time for you to get out of the wastebasket and into your seat. Sophie, Katie, Carla, and Paul, your talking is disruptive. Your chatter needs to stop now. I expect all of you to have your finished assignments on your desk in 30 seconds. Scenarios and advice. Here are some actual situations from my classroom, along with some good advice I have found or been given. John had decided that during every transition he would touch, push, or make faces at anyone whom he came into contact with. Oh, the joys of teaching the hormonally challenged middle schooler. Fringe millennial. Being direct with John sounded like this. John, I need you to stop pushing, touching, and making faces. John, you have 2 choices. 1, you could stop, or 2, you could stay after the bell rings. What would you like to do? Doug Lemov, author of Teach Like a Champion 2010, says that many a student comes to the classroom not necessarily wanting to be disrespectful, but simply not knowing how to be a student. I had to realize that students may blurt out or interrupt because that is what they do at home, and so they think it is okay to do it in the class, not because they intend to be rude to me. Lemov goes on to say that part of the responsibility of the teacher is to teach students what it looks like to be a student. As a teacher, you need to continually remind students what is expected of them as students in your classroom. Of course, being direct and specific is one great way to do this. This helps to minimize problematic behavior, but it also teaches them how to be students. Use language such as, all eyes on me, pencils down, mouths closed, knees facing the front of the room. Keep your eyes on me and now follow me to this board. This is what it looks like to be a student. Wow. I vividly remember Tyler, a walking litter bug, his pencils and paper falling out of his bag, his shirt disheveled, his shoes untied. The bell would ring, everyone would be in a seat, but not Tyler. He didn't even realize the bell had rung. I decided to use Doug Lemov's advice and help teach Tyler how to be a student. So here's how it went. The bell would ring, and I would say, Tyler, you need to be in your seat. Students are seated when the bell rings. Tyler, eyes on me. Nice job. Now that's being a student. I made it a point to end every redirection with Tyler by saying, that's being a student. So Tyler would know exactly what students were supposed to do. I tried to be direct and precise in working with Tyler, hoping that he would eventually know what it meant to be a student in my class. Let's just say it was a year-long project with ups and downs, but I did manage to get Tyler in his seat when the bell rang without having to tell him each day, baby steps, people, baby steps. Another way to look at being direct is to consider the warm demander model. This term, coined by researcher Judith Kleinfeld, describes a teacher who treats students with unconditional positive regard and belief in the student's ability to succeed. Kleinfeld combines this with a teaching style she called active demandingness. By this, she means a teacher who holds students to high standards. Much has been written about warm demander pedagogy. You probably know some of these teachers in my experience. They speak firmly and with a matter of fact tone. They are brilliant at avoiding power struggles. They speak directly when faced with a situation that is not productive for the class. Warm demanders refuse to take no for an answer and have high behavior expectations for all their students. They love their students so much that they are willing to demand excellence from each of them. Writing about directness, I'm reminded of a former student, Natalie, the loudest 7th grade girl who ever walked through my classroom door. She could never speak in a normal tone. Rather, she felt the need to yell whatever she had to say. Natalie was so loud that I had the nurse do a hearing test with her because I was certain she had to be partly deaf. There was no deafness, just her need to be heard by me and everyone else in hallway 600. Once I knew that her hearing was fine, I knew I had to address the issue before I went insane and lost my own hearing. So, the next time Natalie announced her arrival and proceeded to interject at a level that was clearly inappropriate, I said, Natalie, I need you to bring the volume of your voice down when you walk into my room, when you answer questions, and when you work in groups. I know you could do it, and I expect to see this starting tomorrow when you come to class. That's all it took. Natalie arrived the next day, reminded her as she entered the room, and a new Natalie emerged, one that was much more pleasant to be around. At the end of the day, I made sure to thank her and tell her how proud I was of her for choosing to lower her voice. Being direct and specific with Natalie was all she needed to change her behavior. I had a very strong relationship with Natalie, so I knew I could be very direct with her, and she would respond. For Natalie, it was also very important that I acknowledged and praised her on the days she was a superstar. Being direct with students is valuable skill for classroom management, but teachers must first establish a deep, caring relationship with each student. Only then is directions effective. In the context of strong, positive teacher student relationships, students accept your directness because they know you care about them enough to push them. Straight talk directions. We've all been there or will be there, standing in front of our class, giving instructions as to what we want students to do. And as soon as we say, get started, several students give that confused look and ask, what are we supposed to do? Oh, the joys of working with adolescents. After teaching for the past 18 years, I've started to reconsider how I give instructions. Yes, I guess this means I am a slow learner. I want to eliminate the frustration I feel and the frustration I show some of my students feel when I have to repeat myself. We teachers are so troubled when our students can't follow directions, but if we don't train them in this skill, why do we complain? Learning to talk straight to students extends beyond the realm of monitoring and teacher appropriate behavior. To be successful students, they need to learn to listen carefully and follow directions. But they can't learn this skill if we give muddled, complex, unthoughtful directions. This may seem like a small thing, but it helps with classroom management. It is extremely frustrating and time wasting to spend several minutes explaining something only to find that they weren't paying attention in the first place. Try some of these suggestions about instruction giving. They should help you get some freedom from the dreaded cry, "But what are we supposed to do?" They just might help reduce your stress and contribute to our students' satisfaction and productivity. 1. Stop. Think and reflect. Anticipate the challenges your activity may pose, both with the activity itself and with explaining the directions. Write it out ahead of time. Share this with a colleague to see if it is clear. 2. Be straight, short, and simple. Keep verbal instructions short and simple, no longer than 1 minute. You will get students' attention for only 1 minute, so break longer instructions into smaller chunks. For example, I can give the first part of the instructions and have students pair and share what they just heard. Students then return their attention to me. I do a quick review and then I add the next set of instructions. 3. Write a list. Show a written list of instructions on a screen, active board or other board, or give a checklist to each student or group. Students can follow along with your directions and check off each step after they are sure they understand it. Walk around to see if they are indeed doing this, then this becomes an aid for them to use as they work. When you create board games, glue or write the rules and directions on the back of the board. 4. Create a visual aid. Hold up or post a diagram. Show students a finished example. Project visual models to show steps. Give students a picture of completed examples. 5. Give time for questions. Offer students an opportunity to ask any questions about the task they are to complete. Once you feel that all questions have been answered, end the discussion time. 6. Lose your voice. Once students have heard instructions, seen them in writing, and asked questions, it is time to set them free. Tell students they must follow the directions without asking you any further questions. They can certainly ask their group members or neighbors if necessary. However, if they ask you, they will lose several points on the assignment. You might be surprised at how many students do the assignment on their own and do it well. Don't hesitate to be specific and direct when working with students. When you use direct talk with students, you help them understand what acceptable behavior is. You help to further their experiences with self-control. And you teach them how to be successful students. You give straightforward, simple directions. You help students catch on fast to tasks and successfully complete learning activities. These accomplishments help students feel like superstars, especially when you tell them they are. The part of the adolescent brain, male brain in particular, that helps students make good decisions about behavior and be good students is still in need of a growth spurt. This is all the more reason to be vigilant, constantly reminding, redirecting, and talking straight to your students as they try to manage their own behavior. And that ends chapter 8 of If You Can't Manage Them, You Can't Teach Them.